Senator Sabi Abdullahi perhaps should find an answer to what you just, highlighted now. Dr. Abdullahi, very quickly here, Professor Ndibe is talking about institutions. He's saying that we need a system whereby we can have all of this enshrined in our statutes books so that people can easily know how best this can work for us. Is the Assembly so far looking in that direction, or have they done anything that we're yet to put our finger on?
Well, thank you very much. I've listened with keen interest the submission by Professor Ndibe. But let me say that while I agree with him to the effect that we need institutions, I am somebody who also believes in institutions. And institutions is all about processes, it's all about creating certainty, and it's all about making sure that things that needs to be done are done in a manner that everybody can relate to predictably. Now, where I don't seem to agree with him is where we decide to come down to individuals. The present government under President Muhammadu Buhari, like he also said, you cannot assess his government without looking at the context and the circumstances that brought him to government. And so whatever we do, the environmental factors must always be considered. And that is the context. And let me describe it this way. Like a doctor who is facing a very debilitating patient, somebody whose heart is weak, the livers are not properly working, the kidneys are not properly working. Within that context, I think if you get the brain not coordinating properly, you shouldn't blame him. And that is why you can see Nigeria has gone through so much. I used to remember this comic where you see artists drawing Nigeria with all kinds of infusion being put into it. That is to tell you people see what we are doing as a system. And so within this context, I think 3 years, for example, in the Buhari administration, while we will say that, yes, we wish we have done more, but I think a lot has been done. And what I'm trying to point out here is that where we have incremental development, where we have things being done incrementally, I think we should acknowledge it. What I've seen in this country is that almost every government that comes in place, we condemn it from A to Z. We are not able to even pick out 1, 2, 3 things and say, oh, you've done well here. Here you can improve this way, but here you've done badly. We don't do that. We tend to condemn everything wholesale. Now, if we condemn everything wholesale, I think we are also condemning ourselves.
I'll let Prof.
I think this is the point we need to look at.
Okay, just hold your thought there. I'll let Professor Ndibe respond before I come back to Dr. Kechi. What do you have to say to that?
Well, what I have to say is that Nigeria is a deeply troubled country, all right? I have just gone on the road between Enugu and Makurdi. The roads in Nigeria are in terrible shape, roads. And so you find in the 21st century that governors still list roads as their achievements. The presidents of this country list roads as their achievements. In a country that has no healthcare system, that has millions of graduates who walk the streets without jobs, where you have insecurity, where people are killed and those crimes are not solved, where the educational system is in near collapse. And so when we speak about incremental, there is no credit that one ought to give to the political class in Nigeria. A class that has not even done as much as build roads.
Not one credit.
Not one credit. I mean, we have a country where people now praise governors for paying salaries. That's how bad things are in this country, right? So the basic things in 18 years of democratic governance that all the governments that have come before have not even solved, given Nigeria the federal roads are in total ghastly shape, all right? And it doesn't matter what region of the country you are in. And so we need actually men of vision Okay, we need the kinds of people who pull Dubai into the kind of global player that it is.
I think that
we
takes
need
us...
we need the leaders in Singapore, right? So
That
we're dealing with
takes
leaders
us-
who say to us, we're doing a little bit of progress. And look at how much the democracy costs.
Sorry to cut you there. That
Yes.
takes us to the leadership recruitment process, which I want Dr. Kechi to speak to. He's a... Now, whether you like it or not, you must put on your political garb, because it's your term.
Yeah.
How has it been like, you know, in selecting people? Because if he's talking about people with vision, people who can actually activate some of these good for the people, how has it been so far?
Well, you can't really answer that question without also leveraging on some of the issues he raised in trying to react to what the senior spokesman did say earlier. When you come to Nigeria, we have the best doctors in terms of training. We have some of the most qualified and most skilled engineers in this country. Okay. So, ordinarily, they should be the best roads. Ordinarily, the best doctors should give us the best health care. When you come to Nigeria, in terms of academics, we have the best professors. We have the best management consultants. At least they excel when they go out of the country. Otherwise, we should have the best administrators in this country. From one profession to the other, count Nigeria, Nigeria will come tops. Therefore, or then you ask the question, why is it that things are not working in this country?
That's a big question.
Beautiful. I have personally analyzed this, slept over it, turned and turned in bed over it over the years, and I have come to this logical conclusion that the bane of Nigeria development, the bane of Nigeria prosperity is corruption. The very day we solve the issue or the problem of corruption, Nigeria will stand and begin to prosper. Things will begin to work. Our airlines will begin to work. The roads will be well constructed and they will last for years, just like it used to be when Julius Berger used to work on our roads. Our healthcare system, the money we budget for the healthcare system will go into healthcare system. We will not have need to go to US to seek medical attention. Therefore, when you say leadership, it's not necessarily, since we have identified, according to me, that corruption is the bane of our development, then we need to attack corruption. And I think whoever the leader we have, no matter the amount of vision he has, if he's not committed to fighting corruption, we'll still go back to square one. And that is why, and one of the basic reasons I continue to remain a supporter of why I say that Muhammad Buhari has done well. Well, he may not have manifested. The result of his work may not have manifested as much as we anticipated by 2015. But let us acknowledge and give the credit that he had boldly attacked corruption in this country. I used to hear many years ago, I mean that cliche, that when you fight corruption, corruption fights you back. I've not really experienced it, but since 2015, I'm beginning to experience it. Because most of the people you are fighting are even richer than the nation. They control the media. They control even the army, because Buhari did not come with his own army. He didn't come with his own police. He didn't come with his own EFCC. He didn't manufacture new Nigerians to take over the leadership or administration of the ministries and the parastatals. He's the same Nigerian that have been corrupt that he inherited. Therefore, it may not necessarily be fair to expect him to perform miracle within 3 years. I mean, you started by saying that we want to know what you are cooking. And I interjected by saying whether the cooking had been finished. You said no, that the cooking had not even been done. You see the process. And I want to ask you, what are we cooking? Let me just ask this question very quickly. What are we cooking?
That's a question.
We're not cooking Indomie. Listen, we are cooking beans. You can cook Indomie in 3 minutes. It takes about 10, 12, 15 minutes to cook beans. The problem in Nigeria solving corruption is not a fight that requires 3 minutes Indomie cooking. So we should be able to assess him fairly within that circumstance. He has shown the will. Whether he possesses the skill to fight the corruption, well, let's leave that for another day, debate for another day. But there is a leader who has come and has shown the will. And everything about his person. Because when we go beyond him to talk about those who are around him, we also think we are not fair, except we can prove that he has closed his eyes to those who are around him who are involved in corruption. But his person is very transparent. There is nothing suspicious about his life.
Let us go to Sabi Abdullahi. I'm sure you've seen this book, Sabi Abdullahi. We're not talking about the book, but now we're talking about corruption. I've been on this book written by Nigeria's former coordinating minister for the economy, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, and Your arm of government was mentioned also in this book. Then you were not there in the assembly, but there's a government, there's a continuum. And she did say something about an injection, but she used the word an addition. So, and for many Nigerians, they've been talking about this as one corrupt act of the National Assembly, that there's always an insertion without the knowledge of the executive arm, or sometimes people arm twist the executive arm. You people arm twist the executive arm. Now that you're here, perhaps maybe you can speak to that very line of this book and set the record straight. What exactly do you mean when you insert or you... I don't want to use the word padded. Perhaps you know where I'm coming from. Dr. Sabi Abdullah.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Suleiman. I think we need to be very straight here, and we need to be very sincere to ourselves. Our democracy, the ground norm of our democracy is the Nigerian Constitution. And Chapter 14, subsection 2B says, the welfare and the security of our citizens remain the primary purpose of governance. Mm-hmm. Now, one thing I want to say here is that if you also check Chapter 4, the Directive Principles of State Policy, it tries to guide people who are in decision-making process on how to do it, to make sure that there is equity, to make sure that every segment of this country is given a fair chance to have the means of production, so that at the end of the day, there is balanced development. But over the years, what I want to submit here is that there are many parts of Nigeria that if you go there today, even as we speak, there is nothing in their community that gives them a semblance of the fact that they belong to the same country, where those people who are residing in Abuja, those people who are residing in Kano, those people who are residing in Lagos, Ibadan, and all those major towns and villages are the same Nigerians. And within the context of democracy, that is why we call it representative governance. I, Aliu Sabi Abdullahi, am representing Niger North. Niger North has 8 local governments. And as I speak to you, there are parts of Niger North that do not have electricity. Agwara is one of the local government, is not connected to the national grid. And that is part of Borgu Emirate, where the first hydropower plant, the Kanji Dam, comes from. In the same Niger North, we have Mashegu local government. It's not connected to national grid. So all of these people, are they not Nigerians? How do they become part of Nigerians to contribute their quotas to the growth and development of this country?